47 Truths by Gabrielle Angel D. Lilly and FunFast Productions. Prologue. Beauty is truth's smile when she beholds her own face in a perfect mirror. That's Rabindranath Tagore. Truth. The pursuit of truth has been right up there with the pursuit of happiness in the running for top pursuits of humankind since at least as far back as our history goes. There is evidence in cave paintings and in the first tales passed down around the fire in early societies, and in the first writings of our pondering the truth of our consciousness, our place in the universe, in society, in our own bodies. What are the rules? What should the laws be? Centuries in, we continue to wonder what our own purpose is and how we fit into the fabric of society as individuals. What is the real relevant truth of everything, and of course specific things? We often feel out of place or born too late. We have accumulated countless stories about mankind's tumultuous relationship with our own truth of being. Here I tip my hat to my grandmother Dee, Socrates, Plato, Xenophon, Galileo, and the witches of Salem. I appreciate every person who, many times at the risk of their jobs, peril of their ego stories, or even the cost of freedom or life itself, has pursued the winding path of the pursuit of personal truth and universal truth, and in all its great simplicities and grand disillusionments. My personal pursuit for truth has many facets, of course, like everyone's does. In the last 2 decades, my studies have mostly been filtered through and swayed toward the intentions around evolutionary leadership, paradigm shifting, mindfulness, self-awareness, comedy, and education. Leadership, paradigm shifting, mindfulness, self-awareness, comedy, and education. Did I mention repetition yet? You may see those threads weaving throughout this book. The picture I have in my mind to represent this book has been growing more complex and detailed lately. It is unlikely to be fully realized as the cover for its first edition at least for its first edition publishing. Though you may recognize elements of it in the finished product. It starts with a simple braid. 3 strands. Each strand a bundle of strands. Human hair, auburn like mine. Then I was thinking about a large piece of macrame I did before I became a mom. I tied knots for years, made patterns and then broke them. It was a thing I did in the background of everything else. I still do that in different ways, I suppose. My brain does best when I give it a task to keep it out of trouble, and tying knots into colorful patterns is a pretty good way to keep the brain occupied, I have found. Anyhow, the picture includes some colorful threads, knots, weaving, a tree of life, bees and butterflies and wildflowers in a meadow, honey dripping when it's warm. It has hands in it and some sensual thing, an object made of clay, a crude goddess figure or something round. This picture could have 2 people dancing in the moonlight, an owl maybe in a tree, probably a coyote or a wolf or a wildcat keeping watch just out of sight, a feather lying in snow, something soft and furry that makes cute little animal noises. That wasn't one. It definitely has an ocean, rivers, mountains, and stones below the surface of lake water. It has at least 1 spider, darting off and onto pages. Her silver and gold threads glisten in the moonlight and in the sunlight. They are what hold all of this together, firmly, lightly, strong, delicate. Spider. I wasn't going to say like magic. If I did have the kind of magic it takes to make it like this book would smell of cinnamon and cardamom and cloves right about here. Perhaps sweet-baked apples and peppermint tea a bit later. Fresh bread, toast, lemon pie. A hint of orange and vanilla. And something a bit musky like leather would permeate every truth. It would take you on some good-smelling place with subtle changes on every page. Every page would be a different color, or 2 or 3 different colors. So subtly shifting you would not have even noticed they were colored until now. It would taste faintly of fried plantains and coconut and oatmeal cookies now and then. And in other parts it might remind you of arugula, pear, and salmon salad, slow-simmered stew, or savory mushrooms and spinach quiche. Tomorrow's Christmas. And I'm making sautéed kale with nuts and garlic and coconut. At the risk of ruining the end, spoiler alert, I believe that truth is relative, fluid, like a river, really. To my thinking and conclusions, truth is dependent on the proportion of perspectives, filters, lenses, purpose, so many things. Of course, this truth is not practically useful in many choice-making situations, though it does help me not worry much about anything. When I go out far enough in my time-space perspective, I find every truth falls apart. This is just one dimension of so many that we can even imagine. Imagine how many there are that we can't imagine, or how much there is. Not too long, though. I don't want you to get lost out there in outer space. Just yet. Come back inside. Let's get closer. I also believe in what might seem like conflicting truths. I can hold seemingly opposing ideas in a realm of possible truths at the same time. I believe this is a good skill for us to cultivate more of as we move into a more global social arena where we will benefit from learning to resolve conflicts peacefully and cultivate more effective communication across cultures and languages. And so many languages we have developed so far. It is important to examine what we believe, to have working truths and commonly accepted truths. I think it is crucial for many of us to be questing for universal truth much of the time. To me, this is the great mystery which ultimately propagates life. It's as close to a God as I can get behind right now. The mystery moves us forward. Life discovering itself, creating itself, recovering and rediscovering itself. It just goes on and on, my friend. Just like that one song that never ends. The intention of this book is not to get you to agree with me about what the truth is. It is more of a reflection, an exploration of myself and my own beliefs. Mostly, it is an invitation to you to examine what truth is to you more often, to lighten up a little bit, smile, and to consider that there might be more than one truth at any given time. Give truth a little more space to breathe, if you will. Air it out now and then, and let go of made-up beliefs which might have served you well at some point in time, and now are just clutter, getting in your way. Consider that you don't need to be wrong in order for someone else to be right or have a different truth or a difference of opinion. Get rid of old and busted. Make room for the new hotness. What is true for you today? I hope this book will make a good read cover to cover, and also at any random page or even part of any page. I think it should work well as a functioning tool for any lightning work, or even as an effective change agent all on its own, if one would like to pick it up and soak it in just a little of my comedic wisdom. You can also try just holding the book or even thinking about it from afar. I'm not sure what effect, if any, that will have. Please tell me if you find out. This is not a love song, and nor am I posing any serious theory about truth here, though I am interested in the question of observations as a vehicle of scientific evidence and prediction theory. This is not a discussion of atomic facts versus whatever the opposite of those are. This is more of a stroll through the meadows of my mind, a quick dip in the current truth pools, as a playful tribute to all the other truth seekers who have come before me and whom I hold high hopes for coming after me. So, welcome. Take off your coat and shoes. Squeeze my hand. Take a deep breath and then let it out. All the way. Push your toes into the soft, grassy earth. Look at all those bright yellow dandelions. Look, a spider. Not really. Take a quick dip into the forest full of pools that is my mind. On the mountains of truth you can never climb in vain. Either you will reach a point higher up today, or you will be training your powers so you will be able to climb higher tomorrow. That's Friedrich Nietzsche. There's a tiny spider I call Grandmother, who lives somewhere near the center of my heart. Grandmother probably isn't her real name, though she hasn't told me the story of her real name yet, so I call her Grandmother. She lives there, here, in my heart. For more than 1,000 years she has lived there, weaving and spinning her threads. Here, I mean. She weaves relentlessly, day in and day out, night after night after night, year after year. Except when she rests, I want to say. Century after century, she dances out her webs of potential progresses and productions, always humming, always with the loving spark in her spider eyes. We sometimes call it playing. Sometimes we call it work. Special thanks and acknowledgement to all lovers, philosophers, peace warriors, and truth seekers. Also many thanks to those who've personally inspired and supported this book directly. Kevin Hart, Kyle Keese, Alex Qualtier, Pamela McCara, Jacob Negro, Lewis Howes, Tom Bilyeu, Grandma D, Granddad Lily. I got a lot more to add to that list. The difficulty is to try and teach the multitude that something can be true and untrue at the same time. That's Arthur Schopenhauer. The Invitation. Ringing. Ring. Hello. Hi. Henry? Herbert? Helga? Heidi? Yes? Your ride is waiting for you outside. Will you join me for the Heart Web Tour of Possibility? Be right there. I want to mention, I'm Angel Lily. That's the introduction portion of the rough draft of my book, 47 Truths, and I'm trying a new experiment where I'm going to, well, for part of just redrafting purposes, I'm reading it out loud to myself on camera for a second time, and also just for documenting process and posterity, whatever, I'm thinking about posting these on YouTube, and I meant to do an introduction, and lo and behold, I totally spaced it at the beginning there, so I'm doing a post-traduction. Any case, it's all a work in progress. That's what I got to say about that. That's part of the rough draft, and probably the only documented part other than private stuff that will be available, if it even is. So there you go. If you're interested in the finished product, hit me up, because I'm in the process right now of editing this weekend, and the finished book and ebook and then later audiobook will be out soon in January 2019. And at the very beginning of January, I'm going to be looking for a review team. If you catch this real soon and you want to be part of that team, please send me an email or hit me up with a comment below. Thanks. Bye. Merry Christmas.